Do you ever just get sick of dating? Yeah, I do. I do. So, if you don't know me by now, I'm Kia. I am a coach. I coach at London Real Academy. And I coach lots of people, female veterans, from my podcast, the Female Veterans Podcast. And I love to talk about mindset. And I like to take what I have learned from coaching for the last 5 years and apply that to other areas of life, like dating. And that's what I have been doing for the last year. And I have had ups, downs, lots of crazy experiences, and lots of learning experiences about myself and other people. And I started this journey because I was married. And then I spent almost 4 years single because I needed a break. And I discovered that I was ready to get back out there because I took all this time to heal and grow, or so I thought. And then I dated a couple of people. It didn't work out. And I decided to take a deep dive into learning more about attachment styles, toxic relationships, inner child wounds, and healing on a deeper level. And apply that, like fuse that with my mindset work and bring that into another round of dating. I was in a relationship, right? And after that didn't work out. I was like, I need more learning. I need more healing. There's more layers here. I went to therapy. I did it all. And so I am here with you to help you and be your partner and support system in this dating journey. If you have been in a long-term relationship or you have been divorced and you have taken some time to yourself and you think that you want to rejoin the dating world, well, the digital landscape is completely different. Dating is different in 2025, and it kind of sucks a little bit. so, so I took a break. If you've been watching this series, I don't know, I think there's 12 episodes in this special limited series of Dating After Divorce. You should go back and watch the whole playlist or watch all the episodes because I cover a lot of ground, especially in the early ones. And in my last episode, I talked all about why I think dating sucks in 2025 and why I was going to stop. Right? And it wasn't all because men suck and all of that. Because if you watch this episode at all, and if you haven't, I'm going to tell you right now, I love men. I know I wish I didn't, but I just do. And I mean, they can be troubling and frustrating. But I just love them. And in fact, I have a lot of men who watch these episodes. So thank you for sharing your time with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate that. And I really, really love all your comments and your feedback. And if you're watching live, feel free to comment, join the conversation. But I love all of that stuff. So today I want to talk about something. I'm excited. I'm excited because in December, I decided, right, January, the beginning of the year, to shift my focus from dating and to focus on business and other things. I have all the stuff I do at the beginning of every year to prepare me for my year, goal setting, all of that. I take some courses, all of these things. And I wanted to shift my focus from dating to doing that stuff. But guess what? I'm ready to start dating again. So let's talk about that. What do you do when you are sick of dating? You take a break. And I've said that because you need to get your mindset right. You can become so jaded and bitter that dating becomes kind of the last thing you want to do. And so I'm here to just remind you that it's supposed to be fun. And when it's not fun, you should take a break. You should take a break. And whether you're dating in person or meeting people in person or you are meeting people online, it's important to check in with yourself and take those breaks because it can be so frustrating, right? And so there's some key things to keep in mind when you take a break. Revisit what your boundaries are and your standards are because it's so important to not lower your standards because you haven't found anyone yet, right? It's tempting to go, okay, well, maybe my standards are too high. And people will tell you that too. People will be like, you're not meeting anybody because your standards are too high. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. You should absolutely trust yourself and because you know what you want, right? You know what you want. And it will help you too, because when you find yourself in situations where someone is pushing your boundaries, you'll be able to know that the right thing to do is to walk away or to communicate with them. Right? I don't like to just walk away from people. I like to communicate. And I think that open and honest communication is really missing a lot from what I've seen and experienced. Everyone's so afraid. Everyone's so afraid to be honest and to communicate, openly and with vulnerability. And that's a big part of the problem that exists when you're out there dating. So if more people did that, I think we would cut through the shit a lot faster, right? Because you'd find out who was for you and who wasn't for you very, very, very quickly. But we all have like this rejection sensitivity, which is understandable. But being able to be rejected and not letting it tear you down inside is a superpower. And you can build that muscle. You know how you do it? By getting rejected. I had a coach on Hot Topics live podcast. He's an acting coach, Coach Reg. He was in Call of Duty. And you can go back, if you go back into the Hot Topics live, you can scroll back through the episodes. And Reggie, and he told me about being rejected. And he said, in the acting world, you have to be able to take that rejection. And it's the same thing in dating. And in acting, you get rejected a lot of times. And they will tell you terrible things like your face is too round. Your eyes look weird. Like they'll tell you really harsh, horrible things about yourself while they're rejecting you sometimes. And you have to be able to bounce back from that if you want to actually pursue that career. And it's the same thing with dating. You have to be able to bounce back from being rejected in order to keep going, right? I'm not saying sometimes it doesn't get hard, but you have to be able to do it. And you also, by the way, have to be able to reject people. And that's hard for me, right? It's hard for me because I grew up as a people-pleasing girl, right? I grew up in a family system that was kind of toxic, and my role was to people please to keep the peace. And so I have had to unlearn that and like really work on that issue throughout my entire life to get to the point where I am totally fine with rejecting people. And I've done it a lot this last year. Okay. And I've been rejected too. So it was like a great exercise in learning how to deal with that in a mature and open and vulnerable way. Right. And honor myself and my boundaries. And that can be really hard for people sometimes. So you have to be able to do that. And it's really important to just know, what you want and not be afraid to go after it, not be afraid to shoot your shot, you know, because the more you put yourself out there, the more opportunity will have to meet the right person for you. It's not impossible to meet someone online. It's not impossible to meet someone in person, right? But you have to be ready. So take a break if you feel overwhelmed. Get your mind right. Because oftentimes we get so jaded, we start thinking like there's nobody out there. You know how many times I've heard in my comments of this little series, there's so many gold diggers. That's such a jaded way of thinking. Not every woman is a gold digger. Okay. I had a friend of mine tell me that women are predisposed to hypergamy just because, we value to feel safe, right? We value financial security, we value emotional security. I think for me, emotional security is actually even more important because I do provide for myself, though I'm not saying it's not nice to be provided for, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I value emotional security. And I think most women would value emotional security more if they experienced it more frequently, right? So I think that's an important thing to note. Really, taking a break from dating is about just regrouping. It's about just not dealing with all the BS and not dealing with, everything that goes along with dating that can be so frustrating. And if you've been doing it, you know exactly what I mean, right? Like there's so much games and there's so much, do I do this? Do I do that? Whatever. I'm gonna say show up and be open and vulnerable and honest about what you want, you know? I mean, there's timing. Like, I guess maybe because I'm a little bit older, we used to have sort of like a flow for how dating went, right? And that's kind of what I'm used to. Like, you meet a person, you guys like each other, you start talking, right? And then from talking, you start seeing each other and you start seeing each other more. And after a while, you're dating. So you're dating this person. It may or may not be exclusive, but you're dating frequently. You're seeing each other like every week, every other week. And then at some point, that dating turns into a conversation about being exclusive, and then you become boyfriend and girlfriend. Well, what I notice out here a lot of times is that people will think they're in a relationship just because they're texting. And texting really means nothing. It really means nothing. In fact, you should really only be texting in order to schedule your in-person hangouts because getting to know each other in person really is the best way. It is the best way. I mean, we used to talk on the phone a lot, back in the day, but even that, like, I think I like to tell people I'm better in person, and I prefer to get to know them in person, and so I think that a lot can be lost in text messaging, and it's really dangerous for women too, because I think we really, it's like in our DNA to love words and like love letters, and so a lot of texting can feel like a love letter. And that can be very confusing for a woman inside because then she starts to feel like the relationship has progressed further along than it really has, when really texting means nothing. So you have to remember that because getting to know each other in person is so much better. So the goal, I think, is not to be in talking stages. The goal is to be seeing each other and to be dating and to progress, right? And if it's not progressing, be willing to be detached. And I know that people say always be ready to walk away. And I guess there's some truth to that, right? You have to not overinvest. And texting a lot can make you a woman, especially in some men, overinvest in a connection that hasn't been founded well yet, right? So it's really important to know that. And when you've had disappointments in dating and you're like, okay, I'm over it. I hate dating. When you get to that point, that's your sign to know you need to take a break. And then you just take a break. And when you come back, you can come back stronger. If you refocus your mindset, you don't be jaded. Don't think everybody's bad. Don't think there's no good men out there because really your thoughts create your reality. So if you're thinking that all of these negative things, and I know we tend to have a negativity bias, right? And that affects dating as well, right? So if you're thinking you're never going to find anybody good, you're never going to find, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're never going to find anybody good. Right? So you got to get your mind right. You got to approach it with a positive mindset. Like it can happen for you. But you have to realize also persistence is a superpower. So you have to persist. You have to hold your standards, know your boundaries, don't overinvest, and persist, right? And when you come back, be comfortable with rejecting people and being rejected, right? And you know what? I give myself a time frame. If I'm disappointed from a situation, I give it about 48 hours. If it's a longer situation, it might take me a week to get over, right? If we've been dating for a while and it doesn't work out. But I like to always remain a little bit detached, until it's time to it's gotten to the point where you can start to invest more and more, and you will know because you will feel safe. That's how you know. And you will have be able to have those open, vulnerable communications. And if you can't have open and vulnerable communication with a person and they don't respond well, that's not your person. That's not the right person for you. So remember that, right? So remain detached a little bit because you don't want to overinvest, and, you know, be willing to give people a chance, right? Be open to having experiences without putting too much pressure on the experiences. Just I find the right mindset is always just to go have fun. And if the fun adds to another date and another date and another date and that turns into something, great, right? And I respect those that are dating for intention. I do. Because I date for intention. I'm not looking for a husband though. I'm just interested in having a boyfriend, somebody to have fun with, right? But it's exclusive. That's my version of dating for intention. But there are some women out there that are like, I'm trying to get married. There's some men out there that I want a wife, right? And so know what your intentions are and honor those, but have fun with it. Like, don't make it so pressured, right? And one of the biggest things that I've learned from this experience, because I never dated before about a year ago, really. Like, I never did multiple dating. I never did any of that stuff. I was always someone's girlfriend or wife. I was like the eternal committed person. And so this experience has been so fun and enlightening for me, because and frustrating and disappointing, by the way, as well, which is why I took a break. But it's been so enlightening for me because I've never had these experiences, right? I've never um just had like these disappointments or this excitement of dating multiple people at the same time. So it's fun, but it's also disappointing sometimes, right? And you just have to be aware of that. You know, I think understanding that it should just be fun can go a long way, and having your mindset right. And like I said, understanding, keeping your standards high, knowing your boundaries, honoring them. But after a divorce, dating is part of your healing. Dating's always part of your healing, but especially after a divorce. I mean, there's so many like damaged, unhealed people out here that they need to learn. And there's so many resources out here where you can learn how to heal after divorce. Okay. Because both men and women, and especially because I date men, I've seen it a lot. There were some really wonderful guys that I've met, but I could tell that they were so unhealed and still so broken that they weren't ready for even like modestly serious, like kind of serious dating. You know what I mean? They were just not in that space. And so you have to honor where people are at. And sometimes they're really great guys, but you just have to like let them go. Same thing with females. You have to continue on your own growth and healing process. And sometimes you can't help people. Because I'm a coach, I tend to want to help people. And so I meet these guys and I'm like, oh, I want to help them. But you can't. You can't help everybody. In fact, I'm going to tell you a story. You want some tea? I was dating this guy. He was so sweet, you guys. He was like the sweetest thing. And we always had so much fun when we were hanging out together. And it was just like super chill. We would just go do stuff together and go eat and hang out and stuff. But it started to get a little bit weird because the more we hung out, the more oddly distant he started to become. And I realized fairly quickly that he was an avoidant. And if you know anything about dating someone who is avoidant, it is like very difficult. Very difficult. You can look in the comment section of so many of these attachment style videos, and they will be like, he was an avoidant, she was an avoidant, run. Right? And I kind of wanted to help him. I did. But after a few more dates, I realized that because, I studied this stuff for years after my divorce and I to learn my own and understand myself and help myself become more securely attached. And I realized like it would be too much work for me. Like I could have helped him, but what I would have had to go through to help him was more than what I wanted to deal with. And so I had to make a really difficult choice to walk away from this guy that I thought was awesome. We had so much fun together, but it's what it is. And that's part of the process, right? So you go out there and you meet people and everyone's on their different healing journey. And so you have to recognize that. And some people are willing to learn and grow and heal. I met a guy a couple of years ago, before I was started dating my last boyfriend. And he was like into the personal development school and he was into learning about attachment style and stuff. He was very enlightened and on his healing journey and committed to his healing. I mean, we just didn't match. We were more like friendly and like friends than dating. But I mean, it was so impressive to see someone out there, like a guy out there that was so committed to healing himself and his childhood wounds and understanding the dynamics between a mother and son and a father and son and those attachment wounds and how they affect your relationship and your friendships and how you attach in relationships as an adult and how it ruined his previous relationship, right? And that's what it is. When you start doing the internal work, you really make it so much easier for you to attach and to get into a good, healthy connection when you meet someone else who's willing to do that work or who's doing that work, right? So I know that it's frustrating. I know dating online is such a nightmare sometimes, but take a break. Take a break. Don't give up, right? And remember that while you're taking your break, focus on yourself. Focus on your self-care. Do the things you need. I always go to the spa when I have a breakup with someone. I have some spa days, focus on some self-care, create a project, do something creative or something that you will learn something from to take the kind of the focus off of that other person or those other people or the disappointments that you've been experiencing and shift your focus back onto yourself and onto your own life. And it's so healing. It feels so good to just not be focused on someone else and all the disappointments and just be in that space, especially if you have a good support system that you can rely on as well, right? That's also key. Having people that are going through it too, or dating too, friends, or even if a lot of times if you're divorced, a lot of your friends are married still. But even having like besties you can talk to or your guys that you can talk to and confide in and tell them what you're going through and experiencing can be so healing and so helpful when you're in this process, especially if you've been married or in a committed relationship for a really long time, right? Because there's a void of that person that was in your life. So essentially you're creating a whole new life. But the beautiful thing is after a breakup of a long-term relationship, you have the opportunity to create a whole new life for yourself and determine what you want that to be like and feel like and look like, right? And who you want to be in it. And finding that new partner is part of that. As part of that. So just you got to be really clear on what you want and what you're looking for. And that's part of the reason why you take a break when you start feeling frustrated, because you start losing sight of what's really important. And that's just having fun and finding someone to have fun with, right? And have great sex with, right? Like these are the important things of moving forward after a long-term relationship. Because let's face it, a lot of times in that long-term relationship, your sex life became so boring and stagnant. And one of the great things about being single again is the opportunity to create the sex life of your dreams, straight up. So don't give up. Okay? Just remember you can come back even stronger. There's so many jaded people out there. You have to be careful what you're listening to and watching, right? You need positive. I'm not talking about toxic positivity, obviously, but I'm talking about like you just need positive people to encourage you, right? And to be in your corner through the process. Okay. There's so many jaded people. I saw this girl on TikTok. I forget what the it was, but I saw it and she was talking about how men just can't win and how they can't make women happy and they're kind of like damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. Whatever they do is never good enough. And I was watching that and I thought, like, I have a large male audience for this podcast. And I just have to say, that's not true. I'm like, that is trash. First of all, you're responsible for your own happiness. And if a woman is making you responsible for her happiness, that's not the one, boo. Like, she is not healthy. Okay. Like, emotionally and mentally. Like, we are all responsible for our own happiness, and getting into a partnership and a type of relationship adds to our happiness, or it's supposed to. And if it's detracting from your happiness, you have to reevaluate why you're in that situation. Okay. Right. We are supposed to come to the relationship happy within our own life. And so if you're not happy, and you're looking for a relationship to make you happy, then you're looking at the wrong thing. You have to look at yourself and your life and figure out where the voids are and create it better, because we create our own lives, right? So you have to change your life. Sometimes that means changing a little bit of who you are and the way you think, right? But men are not responsible for making women happy, right? It's not about being damned if you do and damned if you don't in the first place. But it's not true. Okay? If you're feeling like you can never make your woman happy, you might be with the wrong woman, right? Like I said, first of all, happiness is an inside job. Second of all, you contribute. You contribute to a woman's happiness. And if everything you're doing is not contributing to this woman's happiness, look at what you're doing and then think about, is that the right woman? Because I can tell you that I've definitely been happy with partners. It's not one size fits all. I hate those kinds of generalizations. It's trash. It's not true for everybody. And then this chick has men out here going, yeah, women, no, there's too much divisiveness. Okay. We need each other. All right. Men need women, women need men. We contribute to each other's happiness. Yes, we can bring each other down for sure and disappoint each other realistically. But then it's time to reevaluate what's going on. And are we communicating openly and honestly? And are we staying in toxic situations? And why are we doing if that's the case? So I'm excited to tell you that I am going to start dating this weekend again. I have taken 3 months off, almost 3 months off. And I feel rejuvenated and I feel like I've been pampering myself and taking care of myself and my kids and my career. And now I feel like I'm at a point where, I can add someone else back in. And because to be honest with you, I was feeling really disappointed. And you know what? I took my own advice and I looked at my life and I looked at the gaps. And sometimes you just have to take an honest look at yourself and go, am I using a relationship to fill a void in my own life? Right? Am I just looking for external validation? Do I just want a guy to make me feel sexy and pretty, or a girl to like, fulfill me in some way, And it's not about that. I mean, it's fun to partner with someone and have someone doing those things, but a lot of times is because we're lacking something within ourselves and in our own lives. And so we have to look at that. And so I did. I took a break. I looked at my own life. I did some tweaks, right? And now I feel ready. So just like I said in the early episodes, I fixed my hair. I got some new clothes, some new dating attire, right? Like I'm going to go get waxed, I'm going to get my mani-pedi, and I redid my dating profile. And I'm putting it back up. Okay. And I'll have a lot more fun stories for you about my dating experiences coming up. But I'm excited to tell you that I finally found this really awesome guy that's going to come on. He's just my friend, but he's going to come on here with me for an episode or two. We'll see what happens. And we're going to talk male and female perspective, right? Because now I have about 40% of my audience is women, which is exciting because it was all men forever. And I didn't create the show to be this way, but it turned out this way. So now it's almost 50-50. And I think it'll be really fun to see if we agree or if we differ on dating topics. But one thing we both agree on is that open, honest, and vulnerable communication is missing due to fear that games are trash and dating should be easy. And it is easy if you know what your standards are clear about your boundaries, and you put yourself out there, but you're always willing to walk away because you're not over invested in anybody or anything, because you're just having fun and looking for something that works for you, right? Not putting too much pressure on anything. It's really easy when two people are both interested, like genuinely interested in getting to know each other. It doesn't have to be so hard. So that's something we're going to be talking about. And I'm really excited for you guys to meet him. He's so cool. And I'm excited for him to come on and chat with me on Hot Topics Live podcast in the Dating After Divorce series. Although he hasn't been divorced, but he is really good at dating, and he was in a long-term relationship. So he kind of gets it too. And so that's coming up. So make sure you set your notifications so you know when I come live, right? If you want to drop a comment and be included in the show, that's how you do it. Drop a comment, say hi. If there's topics you want me to talk about or you're interested in, make sure you comment so that I see them. I am reading my comments again. I will be answering all my comments again, like I usually do, but I was taking a break, honey. Everybody needs a break. Okay. And, I really love you guys, and I really appreciate you spending your time with me and supporting these episodes in my little baby podcast. This is my hobby podcast. My other main podcast is the Female Veterans Podcast. It's new to YouTube. You can go and subscribe to it and help me out. And also, if you want to follow me on other things, you can follow me here, right there. If you like pinup, right? You like pretty pictures, you like retro vibes, you can see me in pinup magazines and check out my art. That's how I express myself creatively and promote body positivity and the fact that you are never too old to start something you always wanted to do, honey. Like, all you have to do is put yourself out there and believe in yourself. You're never too old. Never. So if you like that, go and follow me at Creativity. I have 2 photo shoots coming up in March. I can't wait for you to see what I'm planning. So it's going to be amazing. And I am in 7 magazines now. So most of them are at Retro Lovely Magazine. You can find them on Instagram. You can go to my Instagram if you want to collect my magazines and purchase those. Some of them I have the links. And like I said, set your notifications so you know when I come live, and support the podcast. Share it with someone you think might need it. And while you're at it, and you're on Instagram, check out Eris Health. This is my sponsor. She's creating a mental health app that's going to revolutionize that mental health app space. I can't wait. It's being built right now, and you can go support her. It's free. There's nothing you can do. Just go and support her, and you know, be ready when it launches, basically. And so I really hope you like this episode and you enjoyed spending time with me. I will be back next week with a regular episode of Hot Topics Live podcast. And I may do another one of these, or I may bring my guy on here, my friend, to come and chat with me on the next episode. I don't know yet. I don't know. So I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed hanging out with you, and hopefully some of this helped. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you next time.